What are you doing?
I'm not recording.
Well,
I'll zoom in on your face.
The batter for the food begins with white wine and vanilla sugar.
zoom in on this.
Alright. That's not zoom in, that's pause. Zoom is like really funky. I found it the other day. That's pause. Man, it took me forever to find it the first time.
Does it have arrows?
I don't know.
It's right there. It's on there. No, I mean on that button panel there.
This?
Yeah.
No, those aren't.
No, there's a whole panel.
Don't. You're on tape right now.
What?
You're being recorded. Oh, there it is. Right.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to see. That's what that was about.
Forgot. Don't look at me.
I'm not doing anything.
Presentation begins with the cassis sauce.
Now keep your finger on it. Well, right now you're just getting the wall.
No crap, you don't think I can see where it's going? Getting sound. Ah!
You already got sound. What are you doing? Your nose. I got close up at the ceiling. Move your head.
My nose. My nose right over it.
It looks like you're looking in a microscope.
What's this?
Different lenses.
Really?
Yeah.
This is a movie about buying a house. There are not any cracks, not even a mouse.
Until the camera moves towards me. That's enough. Move the camera. This is high school. Now end it. Oh, we're over. Mr. Lutens. Stop in here.
Absolute Elsewhere Productions Incorporated presents an exotic film for your enjoyment. I wonder. Inquiring minds move further. A film about moving. Starring Jeffrey Higgins as your humble narrator, Michael Manahan as the real estate dealer, the guy at the bank, whose name I can't remember, and Marcia Farrow as the woman who recently moved. Co-starring Teresa Neivelt as the walker, Jamie Fry as kicker number 1, Joni McGinnis as kicker number 2, and Stephanie Miller as kicker number 3. Productions by Jeffrey Higgins, Tony Grant, Tim Hall as the cameraman, and Shelley Hart as the extension cord giver. The guy that reads the opening credits, Tim Hall. This is a movie about buying a house. There are not any cracks, not even a mouse.
getting the Spartan stuff? But, okay, I'll...
I see you sitting, no exercise. So you can stand until they're dead. Unless you want to exercise first. No, we can't use it. Let's go. And PE at Olympia High School, and I also sell real estate and build houses.
When you sell real estate, what is it exactly that you do? What exactly is the real estate business?
Well, real estate is selling of houses or commercial property or farmland, a lot of different areas there. What you actually do is people contact you, or you get referrals, or you try to go out and find people, or you go talk to people about listing their house, and you make your commissions off selling houses.
Okay. So we have a lot of people here that are going to be buying a house in their lifetime, more than likely. Would you have any suggestions or little tips to give them in buying a home?
Yeah, they need to, if they're not familiar with what to do or the whole process, they probably ought to talk to a realtor. Realtors will talk to people, even if somebody wants to list their house themselves and try to sell it themselves. Because a lot of people will talk to me and they say, I want to sell it myself, and I say, that's fine. And I give them some tips on how to sell it themselves and how long they should try to sell it themselves and what price they should put on it. Okay, and this helps them. And if they don't sell it, then, would you come back and let me try to sell it?
Okay. So is that basically an overview of what you're about?
Pretty much, yeah. Real estate's one of the easiest things that you can sell, because usually when people come to you, they're wanting to buy a house. I don't high pressure people. So if they want to buy a house, it's just a matter of taking them to however many houses you have to take them to until they find the house they want.
All right, thank you.
Okay. No problem.
Bye.
Most time-consuming and nerve-wracking that I have ever undertaken. Ishi's imperturbable good humor alone made the work possible, though it also adds at times to my exasperation.
With his perfect ear for language, Sapir wrote down every nuance of Ishi's speech, even his cartoon voices for characters like Coyote. Sapir and Ishi worked hard every day that summer. In August, Ishi collapsed.
Hello. This is high school, a place where dreams are made. Everyone goes through these halls eventually, and almost every one of you will graduate. After graduation, you will face many different choices. One of them will eventually be to buy a home. Unless you are one of the homeless, this will be a major, major part of your life. What do you... Good afternoon. This is a high school, a very typical high school. Children spend their lives here, or at least 4 years of them. When they graduate, they will go out and find jobs, maybe get married, maybe have children. But throughout your life, there is one thing that everyone must face, one decision: how to buy a home. It could be an apartment, it could be a trailer, it could be a mansion. That's what this film is going to be about. How to buy a home. Cut!
Well, that's not enough to go around my bed.
Oh, yeah. I bet it is. And you can have that one there.
That's for cable, though. Can't you get local stuff?
No.
This is the house of Marcia Farrell. She has recently finished moving into it this past weekend. As you can see, the place is a mess. But then again, who knows if this is the way it'll be in 2 years' time. You can see in the kitchen, things are pretty bare.
Turn that thing off of me.
Sorry. And there's nothing on the stove because she wasted all her money. Alright, you can start by just telling your name and what you do.
Okay. My name is Dan Shope. I'm Assistant Vice President for First Farm State Bank of Minear, and I handle all kinds of loans from commercial to real estate. And today I guess we're going to talk about purchasing a home.
Okay. What is the basic process you go through to get a loan from the bank?
Okay. For a real estate loan?
Yeah, real estate
Okay.
loan.
On a real estate loan, the basic process is applicant comes to us, and generally they have a house in mind. They complete an application. I sit down with them on that application. It's going to have everything from their past work history, their past credit history that they list, and then a little bit about the property they're buying as far as the purchase price and how much money they're going to put down on it. Then we usually go through and discuss rate and terms about how long they want to write the loan for and what kind of rate. And it generally gets into what will my monthly payment be. The majority of our loans we write, the person puts 80% of the purchase price down, which is average. There's a lot of other products out there where people will finance up to 100% of the home. If you do this, there's other things involved. If you get above that 80%, the customer would have to pay called private mortgage insurance, where they pay a monthly fee each month, and in the event that they would default, then the private mortgage insurance company would pay the bank the money back. In the process, what would happen is we take the application, we go through the credit process. Once we've approved them and say yes, they make their payments as agreed. The amount of income we look at a key ratio of, we take per month the amount of money they make, and then we take all their payments as far as their cars, credit card bills, and then the new house payment. And key figure we use is 36% of their monthly income can be used to pay for their house and pay for their cars and pay for credit cards. Those would be the three items that we generally look at. After we decide, yeah, we would approve the credit, we would go on from there, and the house is appraised. Generally, the person buying the house would make an offer to whoever's selling it. They write up a contract that says, we'll purchase your home for a certain dollar amount. Usually the contract will be contingent on the house appraises for enough value in order to get the loan that they want. Once it's appraised and they agree on a price, then we'd sit down, we would come to closing, we fund the loan, we take the funds from our loan and pay the seller. Title is transferred from the seller to the new buyer. you're in your house. I guess that's a simplified way of, a short way of going through the process.
Do you have any tips to people who are going to go out and try and get loans to buy a house?
One thing you can do is called pre-approval. One tip I would have is go and visit with your banker, come in and see me, and we can sit down and go through, and I can right away go through and show you what each bank's going to look at as far as how much income you generate. I should be able to tell you how much of a home that you can afford and what type of payment it looks like would fit into your budget. So I'd say, one thing before you even go look for various homes, maybe come in and get an idea what would fit into your budget as far as purchasing a house.
Okay, and if you fill out the application and it was denied, is there any way to go back and fix everything?
Sure. Whenever we deny an application, we mark the reasons why. So generally I'll contact the person, as well as we're required by law to send you a written notification of why we denied it. Sometimes a lot of people, there's misinformation on the credit bureaus. That's another tip. You can go to a local credit bureau and have a credit bureau run. I think they'll charge you like $5 to $8, and you can take a look at your credit, and a lot of times it happens where other people's information gets on your report, so it's a good idea to check and see what's on your credit bureau.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so at this time. It's I'm sort of thinking off the top of my head of the process we go through. I think from the beginning, if you go and you get your pre-approval, it gives you a good idea of how much you can afford, and also helps you bargain if you're deciding to make an offer to a person. If you know actually how much you can afford, you can say, hey, I can't offer you this much, because you know in the back of your mind that you've already been approved for that amount.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
And say bye.
Bye.
Seems like our baby's quieted down.
Says, liquor stamp.
This is the home of Marcia Farrell. She has recently moved. We are now attempting to capture a glimpse of life as it is as you're moving. You can see the state of the home. Ladders, boxes.
I'm Marcia Farrell.
And what did you recently do?
Move.
Yes.
And we're still living in a mess.
Well, that's because you just moved.
Right. Takes a long time to put everything away.
Tell me the process you went to get this house.
Well, I started looking at them on my own, but then after talking to the bank in Bloomington, I found out it was better to get pre-approved for the loan.
Mm-hmm.
Because then when you go and find a house that you like, you can make an offer right then and there,
Mm-hmm.
and you've already got your loan approved. And it took probably 3 weeks for that to get final, get the answer back. And we'd already looked at the house, and I just sort of was keeping my fingers crossed and waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally they said okay. And then the buyer has to get a termite inspection. In a small town like Armington, it doesn't have public sewer, has public water. They have to have a septic inspection because it turns out that all the houses that are older, like this one, they don't have a regular septic system. So you have to have a septic system put in. The owner, previous owner, and I agreed to pay half.
Mm.
So it was like $1,725 was my half. So you have to find the money for that. You've got closing costs, which are like different bank fees. You have to pay for an appraisal to make sure what the house is worth. So the buyer has to pay for that, not the seller. The seller has to pay for the termite inspection and a couple different things. I can't think now what they were, but I had to pay for an appraisal. I had to pay for an inspector to come out because I got a USDA loan, and that's a USDA inspector. Okay, and just if you don't have a USDA loan, you don't have to do that always. But it's a smart thing to have the inspections, and you know if the furnace and all that stuff is working good.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was in good shape. The only thing we had to do was down in the basement, we had to, or he had to, insulate around the sill plate. And just putting fiberglass insulation in between the floor joists. And actually my realtor did that because the seller was so perturbed over having to pay for half of the septic that my realtor didn't want to ask him, and his realtor didn't want to ask him about the insulation, which cost about $10. And my realtor said fine. He actually went down and did it himself. Just kind of unusual, but
The realtor
really,
did?
yeah, my realtor did it.
So you had a realtor?
Yeah, I had a realtor.
And-
You have to have an attorney, or you should.
Yeah.
Okay, he looks over all the title and everything, makes sure that everything's in order. He's there at the closing when you sign the loan papers and
Mm-hmm.
goes over all of it so you understand what it's all about.
Did you have good experiences with the realtor?
Yeah,
Were you able to talk to him?
really nice.
I interviewed Mike Manahan, who's a realtor, and he said that realtors are always very talkative and they're ready to answer any questions.
Yeah. Yeah, and this guy was really nice. And he wasn't like a car salesman. He was just nice.
Yeah.
He was really helpful.
He let you make the decisions?
Yeah. And if I asked for a suggestion, then he told me what he thought, or what he would do. But he wasn't like a car salesman who was pushing you into buying the house. And a couple of them he even looked at and said,
Yeah.
And he wasn't looking to make the biggest sale. He asked me what I wanted, what I was looking for, how much money I wanted to spend, and he really looked for those things that I wanted. It was really good. And now we have dead airspace because I don't know what else to say, Jeff. Are you going to edit this?
No, I'm very primitive in my editing. I have 2 VCRs.
Oh. So now what?
Well,
Okay, so then when it was finally time to move and all
Mhm.
the papers were signed and everything, we got the keys to the house. I went Friday afternoon, I rented a U-Haul because it was raining.
yeah.
We were going to use a bunch of pickup trucks and it's like, that's raining. So I rented a U-Haul and that cost like about $80.
Was it worth it?
Yeah. 2 trips and we had everything here. And we could, if we were moving a long ways, you could have done it in one if you stacked it all the way to the ceiling. But we took all the boxes and everything in one trip, all the furniture in another one.
Was it $80 for the whole thing, or was it $80 a day?
Okay, it was $80 a day.
Yeah.
But it turned out that I got it on I wanted it on Sunday, okay? So they let me pick it up. They close at noon Saturday, so they let me pick it up before noon Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And so technically we had it for a day and a half, and then I dropped it off on Monday morning. And it was like, the price was really $29.95, okay? But then you have to pay 49 cents a mile.
Yeah.
for the miles and everything, so it came up to like $80.
So if you're moving across the street, it wouldn't.
You wouldn't want a moving van if you're moving across the street.
That's true. Or down the street.
Yeah, this was like from McLean, so it was 12 miles.
Yeah.
10 miles, something like that.
But a U-Haul was a good idea?
It was a very good idea. It was quick and easy.
Was
still
it?
took a day and a half.
Yeah. How long do you think it'll take to get settled in?
Another week.
Another week?
We've been working on it a week, a little bit every night. But it'll take at least another week.
Is it tough if you had to do everything yourself?
No, Chris has to work too.
Well, I meant yourselves, the two of you.
Yeah. Well, no, when we moved, everybody came in. Neighbors and stuff helped.
Yeah.
And his friends. And we're just kind of putting things away a little bit at a time as we figure out where we want them. It's easier that way because it's like I don't know where I want anything.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it I put away and I take it out and I move it. And some of it is just sitting in boxes because I don't know where to put it.
What were your experiences with the loan? The bank people?
The bank was really nice. They were just really helpful, and it didn't matter how many times I called and asked questions, they were really good.
Yeah.
I know some banks aren't, and some people don't have that kind of luck because, excuse me, my son's clowning around in the bathroom door. You missed
I'm
it.
done now. Sorry. Should be quicker.
I didn't really want you to get that on camera.
Was it obscene?
No, he was playing with the toilet brush that I just bought, pretending he was brushing his teeth, if you must know. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh.
The loans.
Some people there was another girl at work who got a loan just about a year ago. And the people were real impatient and not very friendly and very nice at the bank where she was working. And,
yeah.
But that's like where her realtor said she could get her loan, so she just kind of had to put up with them. And even her realtor didn't call her back, like, and answer her questions. This guy I worked with was good. He had a cell phone. It didn't matter when I called him. He was always there.
Were you approved the first time?
Yeah.
I was talking to the guy in my near. I forgot his name, but he's on the tape. And he said that if you aren't approved the first time, they always tell you exactly what to fix, so you can be approved the second time.
Well, we'd already checked everything out, but it was okay because we'd already refinanced a house in McLean once, so we pretty much settled everything that we had to check out then, but it was all okay. We didn't really have a problem with it. We just had to check it. So then when I did this, I knew everything was already pretty much all right.
Yeah.
Before I did it. But the people at the bank were really nice, and they just, even the girls, they went out of their way to help you and answer questions and explain things. And I ran into this bank because I went to a first home buyer seminar that was put on by the bank and the realtors that I worked with.
Oh.
But that was like 6-8 months ago.
So seminars are helpful.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
How did you find out about it?
Read it in the paper in an ad looking for houses.
Oh.
So, but it's free, and it was held at the realtor's office.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought it might turn out to just be a scam for them to sell houses, but it really wasn't. The bank was there to explain how they different loans. There's many different kinds of loans.
Yeah.
And how they work and how you can get help through there's some government grants for down payments and stuff, which I wasn't eligible for that.
What did you have to do to be eligible for that?
Your income and the number of people in the house. Well, actually, I was eligible, but there's only so much grant money
yeah.
per year, and by the time we got around to doing everything, that grant money was gone. I could have gotten maybe $1,000 or $2,000 to help out with the down payment. But it depends on your income and how many people in the family.
How many different houses did you look at before finally settling upon this one?
About 8.
Were there any that came close to?
No, price-wise they did, but they weren't near as nice.
Oh, so you were...
They all had lots of problems, and this has almost like a year-old furnace, washer and dryer.
Yeah.
And a 2-3-year-old central air conditioning, and had brand new appliances in the kitchen and everything. So and the house is just brand new carpeting. It was in really good shape.
What all did you look for in the house besides, the obvious?
Structure, roof. You always want to check the roof. And
wiring?
This is all has been rewired into a breaker box, and yeah, I got a little distraction from the kitchen doorway there. Instead of it like an old house sitting on the fuses with the old cloth wrap wiring and things like that. This has all been rewired like it should be into a breaker system. Plumbing's all redone, so everything's in real good shape.
So you're happy with the overall
Yes.
housing experience?
Yeah. Except some of those crummy ones we looked at. But you find different towns, prices are different. Like, for example, things in McLean were a lot more expensive than they are in Armington. The houses weren't near as nice.
Yeah.
And Armington's a small town, 350 people, so. But it's a nice small town, it seems like, so far.
I like that one house in McLean.
Oh, that one over...
Yeah, that had the big backyard.
Yeah, but it's right by the railroad tracks.
So?
The one thing you look at, well...
Make the house fall apart?
I grew up... It does cause structural damage. There was none. That house had been there so long, it obviously wasn't going to get any from that. And the noise of the train going through doesn't bother me because I grew up next to a train track just like that. But when you go to resell a house, 90% of the people that look at it are going to say, I don't want to be right there by the train tracks.
Yeah.
Even though there's trees growing up and you couldn't see them, you know.
So you're saying when you're deciding to buy a house, you have to look so far into the future as to see who will buy the house next and whether or not you'll... Okay.
What your possibilities are to resell it if you ever want to. And that would be a really tough one to sell. In fact, they still haven't sold it. And they've come down a little in price, but not a lot. So I think they're in for a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this house is right by a park.
Yeah. And it's got one really old house on that side, which it's it's kind of a funny old house. It's got trees right beside the foundation. It's holding it up. Some older person lives there, and they've lived there, looks like for 100 years. But then right next to it, there's that really nice Victorian.
Yeah.
And just things around it are nice. The house on the other side is real nice, so makes a difference.
So this is a good neighborhood. This is a decent town.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yes, very quiet.
Has the park ever been noisy at night?
No, not until some teenagers go over there and sit with their boom boxes, but I'm used to that. In my house.
Yeah. I've heard complaints from your daughter.
But that's it.
Yeah. Well, I'm the one that says that's it.
Oh, I meant that's it for the park.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
So that's it?
That's it.
Say bye.
Bye.
Wave too.
Oh, come on. I
The
feel
guy
like
at the
a
bank
fool
waved.
anyway.
The lighter it gets, because that can be pretty heavy if you put it up, okay? And when it's all done...
Hold me back.
Now we can go. I was on your car. I know, I saw. I remember this. Yeah, it never worked.